Welcome, Solar here. I hope you guys are all doing well. I am here to give you your full moon in Leo / Cancer Tarot Astrology Ascension report, and I'm going to get into why I'm saying full moon in Leo / Cancer. And yes, it is partly because astronomically the moon is in Cancer, while astrologically we still are, tuning into the moon and Leo energies, and they're both still relevant. But I'm going to explain to you in this report why I'm aligning with both, and I'm going to be speaking about I'm going to be focusing on the astrological chart with the full moon in Leo, but I will be speaking about what I feel occurring and why I'm bringing in the Cancerian energy for this reading for this report rather. So I hope you guys are doing well. If you've never been here before, welcome. If you vibe with my methodology and the way I teach, the way I share, I invite you to stay and even do the YouTube thing if you feel so led to do it, to subscribe, to share, to comment, to like, and hit the notification bell if you want to know when I post. Just so you know, on this particular channel, I have another channel, Solar Speaks, where I usually post more regularly. I've been slowing down over the past few months. But over here on Solar Arises, I post every 2 weeks. And sometimes if I have the time or I feel inspired, I'll come on here and I'll do extra bits. But I post every 2 weeks on the full and the new moons, and I take a look at the astrology that's happening, specifically more with the inner planets, or the planets that are moving faster or have shifted into a more significant degree or space. And I use tarot and numerology, astrology, and channeling. So I'm not a classically trained astrologer, not in this lifetime at least, but the way my guides have taught me to break down energy, the energies of astrology, is by utilizing, by utilizing the channeling of those energies, tarot and numerology. Okay, and if you are returning, welcome. Thank you for your support. I really do appreciate all of you being here. Okay, so let's get into it. Let me pull up the chart for today's full moon. So as I record this, it is going to 4 o'clock UK time. So we are about 2 hours out from tonight's full moon, or today's full moon in Leo. Okay, so as we've been moving into this moon, I've been feeling very intensely, and to be fully transparent, I have a lot of Leo energy. I am a Leo sun in Western astrology, and I am my Mercury is in Leo in Western astrology. But galactically, or even in Vedic, or if we're actually looking at the sky when I was born, I'm a true Cancer. And in my Western chart, I also have a lot of Cancer energy. I have my Venus in Cancer, so I love like a Cancerian, as well as other placements, prominent placements. So I say this, I put that out there because I have the ability to really tune into those energies, and maybe I feel them more because of my chart. Okay, so, and yet at the same time, there's a reason why I was born where I was born, when I was born, into the chart I was born into, in terms of who I am in this ascension and what I've come to bring. And the Cancer, Leo, Virgo energy are 3 of the main medicines that have been on my path astrologically this lifetime. And I say that as a person who has all of that in my chart in prominent ways. And I also say that as the daughter of a Virgo sun, the mother to a Virgo sun, and the mother to a Cancer sun. So that Cancer, Leo, Virgo energy is very much how my soul wanted to learn and to teach lessons on those energies. And I say those energies and not those signs because the Cancer, Leo, Virgo quarter of the zodiac is all concerning our emotional foundations and how we express. So even Virgo, although it's connected to Mercury, it's how we connect to the information we need on the mental and the etheric planes that align with our true emotional resonance. Okay, so I say all of that because this energy that we are in right now is very Leo, Virgo, Cancer heavy, and it's going to continue to be right up until we get to the, what is it, is the full moon in Libra where we have the first eclipse of the year? I believe so. So right now, today, the moon's going to be full in Leo, right? It's going to be full at 5 degrees Leo, which means the sun is in 5 degrees Aquarius. But as the moon was waxing and entered into Cancer, like maybe, I think it was Tuesday, like at midnight my time, it entered into Cancer, there was a real shift in the way that we are learning to connect with self and one another. Let's put it that way. And so I decided to dive in and see, I started to feel it. I decided to dive in and see, well, what is this about? What's the story happening astrologically? And that's when I realized that the moon had just moved into Cancer. And that's when I also began to realize, wait a minute, this is the first time the moon's been in Cancer this year. It's the first time, of course, the moon has entered back into Cancer since the full moon at the end of the year. So, of course, it's going to be pronounced. Of course, because it's at its fullest state before entering into Leo, where it's going to become full at 5 degrees. So that energy is very, very pregnant. That Cancerian energy was very, very pregnant. And then when you start to take a look at the fact that astronomically, or if we look at the actual skies right now, if you have one of those handy apps like Skyview, you will see that the moon is not in Leo, it's just entered into Cancer, right? And why is this important? Well, a few things. For one thing, 1544 on my clock as I say that, and 44 is, of course, the call of the Divine Mother, the 4th house energy of Cancer, right? So, astrology, everything that we were taught in the Matrix, even on spiritual levels, that aided to our ascension at one point, has to change as we move into the new earth, because if we continue to do things the way we were doing things, we're actually going to be putting blocks to our own evolution. So in other words, the way we've been viewing astrology served a purpose, it still does, in the cycle that we were in. But as we evolve and break into another Earth cycle, which is what 2024 is about, the way that we connect with the planets has to change, because we are ascending, we are evolving, and as such we are also connecting with more ascended or evolved energies cosmically and planetarily speaking. And the truth of the matter is, if you think about it, it's very interesting, because everything in the Matrix was designed to take us out of alignment. And when you think about it, Western astrology, the fact that we have not shifted with the skies is another enforcement of that. And that doesn't mean that, because a really interesting thing is, if I read my chart in Western astrology, and I read my chart as the sky was, and all my placements get shifted slightly, I still get the same story. I get the same story expressed through a different energy. So actually, when I combine the two stories, I get a fuller picture. So when I begin to connect with the story of my sun being in Cancer, I get the same story. I get nuances to the story of my sun being in Leo. And the reason why there's also that connecting energy is because even though the zodiac signs shift, the degrees don't. And the degrees are more important in the expression of the energy than sometimes, well, I won't say than the energy itself, but it's very important, right? And it's sometimes overlooked, the power of the degree to, when we're tuning into how a person expresses through an energy. Okay? Another thing is, if you look at astrology from an evolutionary standpoint, we are supposed to be evolving closer, deeper into the sign, or deeper into the zodiac wheel, let's put it that way. So if you were born at 0 degrees Cancer, the whole point is to evolve deeper into the more matured aspects of Cancerian energy. If you were born at 25 degrees Cancer, the whole point is to evolve deeper into Leo energy, utilizing the power of Cancer, right? So the whole point is to keep evolving, keep ascending. So while astrology can give us a beautiful snapshot of the energies, especially our personal astrology. So when I do a full rebirth tarot astrology report personally for people, I am connecting with the story of their soul, what your soul was desiring to accomplish, and why it chose this specific window of time to come through in order to best connect with the energies that would assist in you being able to fully actualize that purpose, if that makes sense. So astrology is it's a guidance, right? And on a collective level, it really helps us to, at this stage of what we're going through in the world, is we've been clearing and cleansing, and at a certain point, we're entering now into the point where those energies cross. There's a cross section where we're still clearing, but we're clearing because we're rebuilding. The buildings have come down. We've cleared away most of the big destruction, the big things that have that have been destroyed and need to be moved out of the way. And now we're dealing with the nitty gritty in order to properly begin the process of rebuilding. Okay, so as such, how astrology is going to apply to us in every process is going to be in connection with what it is that we're going through. So astrology must evolve with us, and within the matrix we were stuck in a cycle that was, we were in a loop. We were in various loops, looping, but we weren't allowed to move past a certain point. And because we've been doing the work of annihilating those boundaries and limitations so that we can be the fullness of who we are divinely without these restrictions, then it only makes sense that the things that we've used up until this point, the tools to help us break free, must now evolve with us and break free too. Okay, so in this sense, I've been feeling the moon really speaking to me through both Cancer and Leo. And part of that, again, is because the moon is astronomically in Cancer, but also it's because every time we get to a full moon in a sign, we will often feel the previous sign very powerfully, because it is at that waxing point right before the moon becomes full in the true sign that it's being full in. So as such, the reason I'm calling it the full moon in Cancer Leo is because I'm seeing that the energies of both need to be acknowledged. And I feel like this is why that Cancerian energy, I've been talking about it a lot. I did a reading on Solara Speaks last night. It was coming up a lot in polls I did on my SUBSTACK. It's wanting to be a part of the process. It's wanting to be heard, because And I think, you know, what it is also, my guides were taking me through, you know, the energy and the history of the ages. So I laugh around, I laugh about with my guides, and they said to me, all of these golden ages that the signs had, and of course they got to the age of Leo and fucked up. And I had to laugh because I'm a Leo. I get exactly how and why that wounded Leo energy could be used against us in order to take us out. I get it. I totally get it, because as powerful as an energy is, on one end of the polarity, it's as powerful on the other. And that's just the truth of all energies. So if Leo is an energy that is here to liberate you into your perfect divine alignment, that's the number 19, where you come back into the godhood, the fullness of self through your expression. That's the Leo energy, what it's supposed to help us all do. Then it makes sense that that same on the negative polarity, or the opposite end of that spectrum, it will do the opposite, and it will do it profoundly excellently. You know, it will do all things excellently in either polarity, if that makes sense. But then when you think about it, the golden age of Leo was the last golden age that occurred on our planet. But then the Matrix wasn't born the way we know it now suddenly. It went through the other ages, and it had its own kind of evolution, you know. And so they started to speak to me about the shortcomings of how, through when the age of Cancer came about, how it cemented the downfall that had occurred in the age of Leo, how those wounded Cancer energies allowed for the story to not only continue but to magnify. And the reason the wounded Cancer energy, or the reason why the Cancerian energy could be used to magnify the woundedness of what had intercepted and caused the downfall of the age, and maybe you could even say the Cancer energy is the flood, right? Is because Cancer is the grid. It's the bedrock, the emotional bedrock upon which the frequencies of the planet are sustained. And that is the frequencies of the planet, but also the frequencies within. We are the earth, and the earth is us. Everything is a reflection of us. Everything. You are the cosmos. You align with every planet, constellation, because they're in you. Okay? So just like the grid lines of the earth are established through Cancer and Capricorn, your energy grid lines are established in you through the Cancer-Capricorn axis also. And it's not about Cancer and Capricorn being in your chart per se. It just is how these signs and the energies that they hold, that's how they work. Okay, so the Cancer energy is formed through our emotional experience based upon our emotional foundation. So your emotional foundation comes from a whole bunch of things. So first and foremost, before you were even a thought, in Liberia we say a twinkle in your father or your mother's eye, I forget the saying, right? Before you were, you existed. You existed as an egg in your mother from the time before she was even born, when she was being formed in her mother's uterus. And her eggs were being formed in her mother's uterus. That's where you were formed. Okay? And then it goes back and back and back. So you were already being formed in the womb of your maternal grandmother, if you want to really think about it on an energetic level. You were already formed in the womb of your grandmother. And then when your mother was born, the egg that would be fertilized to become you was already there. So every single experience your mother has ever been through from the time she was in utero, in her mother's womb, you have an emotional connection to, because it's part of you, because you were there. You were there. You might not have been physically there, but we all know and can see that everything that is material must first begin in the immaterial, in the invisible. Before you have an idea, before something becomes real in front of you, it's an idea. That idea is invisible. It can't be touched, it can't be seen, it can't be grasped. Unless you share it with someone else, they're not going to know. It's invisible, but it's still in existence. And the way you bring it into the material is by applying your mental and your emotional energy. You think about it, you get feelings for it, you put your passion and your drive and your energy and your love and your joy and whatever, you put it into it, and it's born, right? And so it's the same thing with you. You've existed invisibly before you came into material form, right? So as such, your emotional foundation far predates your physical existence, even before conception. And Cancer energy is the energy of the mother, because this is where the mother, and when I say the mother, I'm not just talking about biology, I'm talking about the birther of energy. That's what Cancer energy is about, and the birther of energy is the one who reinforces the pattern. It's not the father who necessarily reinforces the pattern, it's the mother who holds the original blueprint for the procreation process. The father comes in and supplies the ability for the information to enter into the egg, so the egg is activated. Oh yay, time to come alive. And then the sperm also provides you with your identity. It provides you with important chromosomal information. Most importantly, gender, right? But the truth of the matter is that you, as an egg, have been in existence since your mama was in your grandmama. So you have all of those emotional energies within you, right? And this is important because the grid system of the earth is run by your grid system, and your personal grid system is run off of your emotions and your emotional experiences. So we've been doing a lot of clearing through the Cancerian Capricorn axis point, and we're also birthing the new earth through the Cancerian Capricorn axis point. So as much as this Leo energy is the big energy of tonight's full moon, it's there to help the story of the rebirthing of the earth through the realignment of the earth's grid systems, through the realignment of our grid systems that has come by way of us healing, most importantly, the deepest wound of all, which is the one that runs through the mother line. Mother lines, you could call the dragon lines, the ley lines of the earth are the mother lines. So we've been doing that work, okay? Now, grab yourself a beverage, because I don't know how long this one's going to be tonight. I'm going to be very, very real with you, okay? So, this Leo full moon is big, and I'll tell you why it's big. Oh, I got chills when I said that. And I almost want to cry, because we're on the cusp. We're in a new day, but you feel it, but we're on the cusp of it being real. And that's what this full moon is feeling like. And this full moon is bringing to the close a really tough 18-month cycle that began with the full moon in Capricorn in July of 2022, when the karmic contracts of the matrix officially were expired, meaning that at that point, the information of what had us bound. Those records were exposed to us in order for us to make a choice whether we were going to enter back into the karmic cycle with those karmic energies within and without, or whether we were going to walk away and rise into the fullness of who we are divinely. And those karmic contracts were keeping us from doing that. And so, as such, when those contracts ended, all of the warfare picked up. And it was warfare, but it was also just the purging of the energies, and they had to be seen. They had to be seen. We had to go through it. We had to be activated through it in order to get back all of what we lost. And that's what the past 18 months have been about. Now, at the end of July in 2022, the moon was new, entered into Leo, new moon in Leo, and it entered in at 5 degrees. And now we have the wrapping up of that cycle with the new moon, the past new moon in Capricorn that occurred at 20 degrees, the full moon in Capricorn in 2022 that signaled the end of these contracts occurred at 21 degrees, also the World card of the tarot, but also Scorpio energy. So something's being rebirthed, and now we've gone through that rebirth cycle, and the new moon in Capricorn is now the dawning of the new earth contracts. They can actually begin to be materialized. Capricorn is about the materialization of energies, of contracts based upon your emotional resonance, based upon the choice you make to align your emotional resonance back with your divine truth. It's then materialized through Capricorn. So with the new moon in Capricorn, we just had the end of the contract, the beginning of the new earth contracts on all levels, not just relationally. And with this full moon in Leo, we have the close of a cycle of a few things. There's a few things going on with this new moon in Leo, with what we are getting rid of, really, because it's a full moon, but also what we're getting back in the process, which I will get into also. Let me see if that's everything I want to say. I know we're already 27 minutes in, but y'all gotta bear with me because there's a lot of information coming through. So the power of 5. The power of 5. So as the moon waxes into her fullness at 5 degrees Leo, the sun is also at 5 degrees Aquarius. And if you watched my previous new moon in Capricorn Tarot Astrology Ascension report, I broke down the significance of the 20 and the 5 because we have 6 moons at those degrees. So we've got 3 new moons. The 3 new moons that start off the year are at 20 degrees. The 3 full moons that start off this year are at 5 degrees. And interestingly enough, when you take 20 and you add it to 5, you get 25, and today is the 25th of January. There are no coincidences. Everything is in divine order. 2 plus 5, you break it down, that's a 7. That is the number of divine order. Everywhere I've been looking, I've been seeing 7. I just wrote about this today on my SUBSTACK. I will post the link to that on the community board. It is open to all. When I look at the time, because I'm dealing with GMT, it's 17:53 when the moon reaches its fullness. That breaks down to 8/8. The 8 is also very connected to Leo energy because it's the 8th month. It's through the Leo energy that we get back. We get our golden activation codes every year. That's what's occurring through the 8/8 portal. And through this full moon in Leo, those golden codes, for as long as we were able to hold on to them through alchemizing the densities and the attacks that wanted to take them from us since the 8/8 portal, we are those codes have reached maturity, and it's ready for them to be activated, to be birthed. Okay, materially. So that's one energy, right? So this 5 is significant. The Mercury is in Capricorn at 14 degrees. That's another 5. And then Saturn is in Pisces at 5 degrees. So we got the energy of 5 in the chart showing up 4 times. Now, 5 is a very interesting number because when you look at how energy is formed when, so this is something singular. This is a singular thing, that the idea, and we want to grow the idea. And the idea is grown when something comes to interrupt its flow or interrupt its stasis. And that second thing must come to interrupt its stasis so it can begin to birth something. We birth through the number 3. And the birthing stage is the birthing stage of an energy, because this isn't the birthing of the energy materially, but the birthing stage of an energy as an idea or an invisible energy. The birthing stage is still at number 3. It's still not stable. And through the number 4, stability begins. Stability and structure begins to come forth in an energy. So if you look at a shape, for example, there's no two-sided shape. So a shape can only begin to form and begin to become a shape when it has 3 sides. And that's a triangle. 4-sided shapes are squares and rectangles. Those establish the energy, right? So when you get to the 5, from the structure of the 4, the 5 is when, okay, we've got a structure, but in order to grow that structure now into something really tangible, we're going to have to make some changes. Because as it is right now, it's not going to grow. It's stable enough that it's here. But if we want to take it to the next level, then this energy must now go through an evolving, an evolution. An ascension. So we have to add another component, and that component is 5. Now, the 5 never feels comfortable because you finally brought something forth into the 4, and it can become comfortable to stay in the 4, right? But if you stay in the 4, you can become stagnant. The 5 comes to bring the shift and the change in order to go up. Okay, so that's on an energetic level, numerically, that's how 5 works. And that's why 5 is said to be a number of change. So, we see the 5s, 4 5s. Change. Change is not coming, change is here. The change was coming, the instigation for the change that is here has been long coming forward, and it took another turn when the 5-degree mark of Leo occurred with the new moon in 2022. And now we're closing out that cycle, because what had to occur in that 18-month window has occurred in order to birth something new, to birth the new cycle. So we're still going through the change, but we're going through the change because we're shifting higher, okay, in a different way. We're shifting into a completely new energy. We're not necessarily focused on alchemizing the records anymore. We've alchemized the records. We're still clearing out the debris. You know, we're not fully clear. But the main grunt work of what we've had to go through in terms of those old karmic contracts is over. And so now, as I was explaining in my reading yesterday night, now the main work to clear any densities are going to be the ones we must shift within. We must shift the energies that have had our grid lines out of alignment, okay? Because it's our personal grid lines that have contributed to the collective dysfunction. So now that we're able to condense the story down to just self, we're able to shift the earth. Okay? So, the sun at 5 degrees Aquarius, it is a new fucking day. But it's not the end of the fighting, but we're fighting in a different way now. Okay, and I say it's not the end of the fighting because, interestingly enough, you want to talk about the number 5. The 2 minor arcana cards that represent this energy are the 5 of Swords and the 5 of Wands. So 5 degrees Aquarius is the 5 of Swords, 5 degrees Leo is the 5 of Wands. Now the 5s in the tarot are connected to the Hierophant, which is Taurus energy. And the Hierophant is many things, okay? For one thing, the Hierophant represents the union of masculine and feminine energies in order for a foundation to come forth, okay? The Hierophant is also about the systems and the institutions that are born from the marriage of the masculine and the feminine energies. Not talking about people, talking about energies, right? So the way masculine and feminine energy is supposed to work in harmony to create systems and institutions that reflect that harmonious union is that feminine energy is here to connect to the cosmos, connect to the unseen, and pull forth those energies. Now, I'm going to take that now and I'm going to talk about this. I don't like this lighting. Hold on a second. Because it's shifting and now I look like I'm a fucking filter. Ooh, that's a little bit tamer. Maybe I need to put it down a bit. I don't know, I see myself better. I don't know if that's better for you guys though. Maybe that, we'll see. Because the way it translates when I upload the video is always different than it's always different than when I'm actually recording. So I'm going to take this now and I'm going to bring the idea of masculine and feminine energy into how we express it in the embodiment of gender. Okay, so when men and women are working harmoniously, or we don't even have to, it doesn't even have to be men and women. Let's just say a person expressing their masculine and feminine energy harmoniously. That makes it easier, right? So when a person is expressing their masculine and feminine energy harmoniously, they are balanced within enough to be able to connect with the invisible, with the cosmos, with spirit, with all of those energies that actually make up the material. The material is just us putting together. It's like, you want to think about it like a painting, okay? A painting, when we see it, it's done. The image is there, the artistry is there, all of that. We don't get to see how it begins in the artist's mind as an idea, the experimentation they play with to bring that idea into form. We don't have access to the materials they use, not just even to paint the picture, but even the things that inspired them, like reading certain articles, looking at certain artists, going to galleries. We don't see all of that process, we just get given the painting. Now, if you're thinking about that from a material form, of how energy is materialized, what becomes material is just the painting. So what is actually going on, the process is way bigger than that, right? And so your ability to connect with all of that before anything becomes a painting is the domain of the feminine, okay? Then the masculine energy takes all of those ideas, strategies, the things that you've been connecting to, and it begins to put everything on paper and to organize it and structure it until it becomes the painting. And then the masculine energy, if you are an artist who actually sells, takes it out into the world in order to get something back for it. Now, if you are an artist, I'm a writer, so you have to know how to flow with your own creativity. You have to know when it's time to write or paint or make music, whatever it is, however it is you express yourself creatively. You have to know when it's time to discipline yourself enough to sit down and get to the work and push past the densities that want to keep you from that. You have to learn how to do that. But then you also have to learn how to be in receiving mode and to rest, Resting is a big part of creating art. And the resting is the domain of the feminine. So when we are in alignment with self in that way, and we are producing in accordance with our own personal cycles to sustain inner harmony, we are then able to produce systems and institutions that are an extension of that harmony and support that harmony. And the sun and the moon at 5 degrees Leo and Aquarius are fighting for that for us today. And not only are they fighting that for us today in our material reality, but they are fighting for us to come into alignment within. Yes, so the fight has gone for us from externally, completely internally. We're fighting now for our power. The 5 of Swords in the Tarot is all about the fight to take your authority over self by external energies, especially those ones that run the systems. The systems of this world have always been trying to harvest our power. It's what they create whole, it's what commercialism, capitalism is based upon. There's no consumerism if people are happy and in harmony with themselves. When we are happy and in harmony with ourselves, we don't hunger and crave for things that we don't need. So the Matrix had to have us in constant states of lack and need in order to feed the consumerist energy that promotes capitalism, commercialism, where we're constantly buying and trying to kill ourselves to make more money, to buy more shit that actually amounts to nothing, because the minute we get it, we forget why we wanted it because we're on to the next thing. Because we haven't found the harmony within. We don't even appreciate or value the things that come our way because we don't have that in self. And this is what the sun and the moon are helping to shift. The systems of this age are dying. No, they're not dying. They're dead. They're dead. And it's like anywhere where they're still grasping for that last breath, this sun and moon in Aquarius and Leo is here to be like, smack them. It's just like, what you trying to do? What the fuck you trying to do? You trying to get up again? You know, like that, those scenes in movies where you think the person is you know, they've been knocked out or they're dead, and they're still so full of vitriol that, you know, their final breath, instead of just taking it in peace and dying, they're like, I'm gonna try to take you out anyway, or I'm gonna try to hurt you before I go. And then the main character, just in the nick of time, turns around and slaps them or does whatever, and they fall. That's where we are in our movie right now. We're in the part of the movie where the villain is done. He's done. She's done. But in that final moment of trying, and it's just like, and you probably feel it. It's like there have been things that have been occurring in our realities that at every turn they're designed to take us back into the fear that something hasn't died that needs to die in order for us to open this new door and to walk in it and to live it. And at every turn you find out it's not the case. Even if it is the case, you don't react to it that way, and so it quickly no longer becomes a part of your reality. So the 5 degrees is all about the fighting for your right to be who you are, the fighting for your right to live in harmony with self. You know, that's what Leo energy is about. Leo energy is very concerned with the self, but with the feeling good about self. This is why a lot of Leos in their more evolved state, they want everyone to shine. Everyone they want to see do well. And that's because at the crux of that is Leo energy is here to help us feel comfortable in just being who we are, unabashedly, unashamedly, and it's the sign that helps us to recover what we've lost through all the times where the systems and other beings have tried to take us out of feeling comfortable in self. And that begins in childhood. So this is why the Leo energy is very connected to the inner child and inner child wounds, because we become ashamed of who we are as children. We're not born ashamed. Yes, we may have been conceived in shame. We may hold on to those energies. So yes, some people come in with a higher propensity to be self-rejecting based upon that, but still we're not born self-rejecting. We're taught that. We're taught that. And even if you take it as far back as people who are born with a higher propensity to reject themselves, the reason for that is because of the programming that's occurred in the womb because of the mother's experience. So it's still programming either way you look at it. We are not designed to reject ourselves. In fact, our divine design is to constantly choose self, which is what Leo helps us to do, in order to properly choose one another, which is what Aquarius helps us to do. So the Leo energy is what assists us in being good humanitarians. So the Aquarian energy and the Aquarian wound, Aquarius wants, just like Leo, wants us all to shine, right? But Aquarius is more like, I want to get into the groups and change the group dynamic so that everyone feels good. Whereas Leo is more like, I'm going to get on a podium and I'm going to tell you that you should feel good. Oh boy, we're so funny. But that's true. It's true. I'm not, and I'm saying we, I'm talking about all of us because we all have that Leo energy. Whether it's more pronounced in us because of our astrology or not, we all have all of the power of the signs, the shadows of the signs, which, like I said yesterday in my video, I find the shadows of the signs to be really fucking hilarious. I take the piss out of myself. The shadow energies that I that I express through the signs, because I just find it to be hilarious, because our shadows are beautiful, our shadows are crazy, but they're a part of who we are. They're a part of the beauty of who we are in our human experience. So the Leo energy is here. The Aquarian energy, the wound of the Aquarian energy is that it can lose itself trying to shift the group. And this is where the Leo energy comes and reminds Aquarius, hold up, the group's important and all that, but the group don't mean nothing if you are here trying to change the group, but you're suffering because of it. That's going to change the frequency of the group dynamic. And Aquarius energy is very connected to frequency. It's a wavelength. And the Leo energy is where that wave begins. It's that dot in the middle of the sun. The Leo glyph, the sun glyph, is that little dot in the center. That's the beginning of something, and Aquarius energy takes it out through the wave. This is why Aquarius is the water bearer. It's an air sign, but it's an air sign that has learned how to express its emotional intelligence, because it's the last sign of the zodiac. So it's taken all the lessons of Aries, Taurus, Gemini, Cancer, Leo, Virgo, Libra, Scorpio, Sagittarius, Capricorn. It's taken all 10 of those signs, the energy, the lessons from those, and now it's applying it through air. That's what the final quarter of the zodiac is. This is why, again, we are all the signs, and they're all here to assist us in our evolution. So the shift is occurring in the systems because it has to. The frequency has already been changed, and this full moon in Leo is establishing that fact. There ain't no going back. Okay, so yes, Mercury at 14 degrees Capricorn. So Mercury, interesting because, and I should have looked this up before, I don't remember when Mercury began to retrograde. I know when it began retrograding, it was already in Capricorn. I believe it's already past the point, the degree, where it began its retrograde in Capricorn. So now I believe we're going through newer Capricorn territory. In other words, when Mercury went into retrograde, it was already in Capricorn in December. And so it went back through those Capricorn degrees, and it went back through Sagittarius, and now it's pulled us through those Sagittarian energies again, pulled us back through Capricorn, and now it's sitting at the 14 degree, which is the degree of temperance. So it's actually alchemizing the Sagittarian energies alongside with everything that is coming into material form right now through the energy of Capricorn. This is what it's speaking to us today. Right now, what Mercury is showing us is that alchemy is happening. Everything that's occurring right now is very alchemical, right? So, and we could say that's the case all the time, but it's almost like when I say that, the Aquarius energy is it's very concerned with frequency and the establishing of frequency. It's like the alchemical processes that have to occur in order for that to come into real form are happening, and this is what Mercury is speaking to us about. So in some ways, Mercury is tutoring us on the adjustments we need to make in order to better alchemize this reality within ourselves, so that it happens more rapidly in the collective picture. So Mercury in Capricorn, this is the devil. So this is about the new contracts the new contracts or agreements that are wanting to be established. But Mercury, because Mercury is still connected to the invisible, it's connecting us to the invisible, it's connecting us to the information that we need. Mercury opens us up to the cosmic consciousness, where we can delve in and grab a hold of all the information we need that aligns with our emotional resonance, so that we can then walk in our truth, right? That's what Mercury does. So Mercury is helping us to learn what it is we need in order to be in harmony with self in our day-to-day, in our material reality, and alchemizing our hearts and our minds to that, and even how we then walk it out. So what I mean by that is there is a way we were taught to be in the Matrix, and a lot of it had to do with hyper-productivity that was very much rooted in distorted masculine principles that, of course, were born from distorted feminine energies, because the feminine energy births the cycle, births the foundational energy, and the masculine just takes it out, right? So, and now we're getting a learning as the Cancerian energy teaches us how to love ourselves, again, properly, efficiently. We've been getting lessons on how to come into harmony with living that love out. And this has been a theme that's been playing out since Mercury was in Capricorn, since before it went retrograde. I remember talking about this on my Word for Your Day, where we are learning how to establish our own individual rhythms and routines in accordance with what brings us harmony, in accordance with our true Leo energies, which is all about in accordance with us being true to self and being who we really are, in accordance with what feels right, what feels good, because it is us. The Leo energy, because it's really concerned with us feeling good and feeling like who we are, it is a sign that's really important for getting us back to the expression of who we are as love-based beings. And Cancer is really important for helping us to connect with the emotions, the emotional energies that either are going to take us deeper into being love-based beings, or in the shadow will take us deeper into fear and pulling back from love. And Leo will express the Cancer story. Leo will express whatever it is we've allowed Cancer energy to help us alchemize. So I was sharing yesterday and on the Word for Your Day on Tuesday about how when the moon hit Cancer, I had a situation with a person, and I used that Cancerian energy to break a fear story and alchemize it into love, because that's what Cancer energy will do. In other words, the cycles that we've been investing our emotional energy into have been producing fear. and have been producing stories that are fear stories, that are the reflection of the root energy. Cancer is the root emotional energy, and whatever we build upon the Cancerian energy is what we take into the world, and the other signs will magnify or express in different ways in accordance with their own energy energetic expression. And so whenever we are triggered, it's the Cancerian energy that actually can help us connect on a visceral level with the root of the trigger. And then our Virgo energy can help us to break it down categorically so we can put the root of the story into words. And that's made possible by Mercury, who helps us to connect to the root energy, helps us to connect to the invisible information, the invisible energy, the energy that is either from the past, the energy that is locked up in our memories, in our soul's memory, whether we remember experiencing it or not. Mercury is what gives us access to it. Okay, so with Mercury in Capricorn, we're learning how to consciously, because it's Temperance 14, we're learning how to consciously prepare our own internal truth to begin to create materially agreements with self that will then pour out into agreements with one another and with the earth, that are a reflection of harmony based upon our ability to live authentically and therefore be who we are. And who we are is love. Yes? So it's getting a little bit late here. Let me get this moving. Venus at 2 degrees Capricorn. Venus just entered Capricorn a couple of days ago. And Venus is now helping us to materialize and birth our love stories and to give it legs. So Venus is the energy that helps to make our lives materially beautiful. And Venus does that a lot of the time by taking the energies of Neptune, which are the higher octaves of love, those lofty aspirations and goals. And they're lofty because we actually fell so low. We fell below the truth of who we are, and so therefore who we actually are now looks lofty. So Neptune takes who we are divinely as love-based beings, and it sets a mark for us to get back to. And Venus is the energy that helps us to ground what we need to ground in order to reconnect with those Neptunian aspects and to make them real in our lives. So Venus is helping us to do that, to ground these things through Capricorn. And it's a grounding that's occurring in our material realities and material contracts, meaning that this is very connected to how moving forward the systems of the new earth are going to come into alignment with beings who are harmoniously living with themselves, one another, and the earth. Because the truth of the matter is our real agreements with the earth, which are expressed through Capricorn, are about us looking after her. She looks after us and we look after her in return. And that 14 degree is a degree of Taurus. So it is all about connecting with our true divine value in order to give it back to the earth and for the earth to give it back to us. Okay, so one thing I neglected to say also is that the number 5 is Leo energy. It's the 5th house. So we got the 5 degrees happening, the number 5, Leo energy. We are in a number 8 year, which is connected to Leo and Aquarius again. So, and I've gone into the energies of 2024 and the overcoming of the wounds of Leo that we must face in self in order to exit one of the grandest cycles of our time and into the new golden age. We cannot enter the new golden age until we've overcome the wounds of Leo that had us fall out of alignment in the previous one. And so this is the year where those are coming back the sun and the moon in Aquarius and Leo at this 5-degree mark, the degree of Leo, is further cementing and showing us the changes that need to occur, especially because the moon in Leo is the moon in the sign of the sun. Those things that we need to address are going to be made very bright, very real to us. And for as long as we're able to be honest with ourselves, the shifts that can come because of this full moon in Leo are astronomical. So, yeah. So Venus at 2 degrees. Capricorn, that's the Empress. Capricorn is the devil. And then the 2-degree mark is another degree of Taurus, just like Mercury. And that is the 2 of Pentacles. Something's being established. A new love story is being established onto the earth planes through this Venus and Capricorn at 2 degrees, 2 of Pentacles energy. Mars is in Capricorn at 15 degrees. So Mars, like I've said before, has been trailing behind in the caboose because it's no longer, it doesn't have to, we're not at war anymore in that way. So what Mars is doing, or how I've been channeling it, is that we are pulling down walls that have kept us separate from love. Those walls are within, and they are the walls that are within that form the walls without. The energetic frequency fences that come up because of fear and block us from seeing other beings in their purity when they deserve to be. And the literal walls that we've erected societally to keep certain beings out of certain, you can't get in here if you don't have this, you can't be this if you don't have this score, you're not good enough if you don't, all of that bullshit. Those are the walls that Mars has been tearing down, and now it feels like the wall that is going up is a defense wall. Those things are not coming back into your consciousness. Those ways of being that destroyed you and others are not welcome back here. And it feels like that's what Mars is expressing right now through the Capricorn energy, right? So Mars is at 15 degrees. So 15 is a degree of Gemini. That 15 is connected to the devil. Yeah, the devil. So we got double devil energy. Double devil energy. But Mars is working to build a wall against that from overtaking and taking us out of balance or harmony for as long as we're willing to be in defensive mode right now in that way, in a healthy way, and not offensive mode. We're not here right now to go after anything. That time for that is over. The time is to stand still and trust in what has already been done. Okay, you've already built the defense, now you have to trust it. If that makes sense. And that's the lesson I'm getting through Mars. Now, Jupiter is at the 6 degree mark of Taurus. So Jupiter is helping us expand still our ideas of what value is. Expand it to the point where we begin to live and walk in our value. And we begin to give other beings the freedom to live and walk in their value and in the truth of their own story, and to find the value in that without trying to constantly be an author over someone else's reality. Whether it's like through our judgments, they shouldn't be doing that, yada, yada, yada. It's not none of our fucking business. Are they on their soul path? Okay, then that's fine. Leave, for as long as they're not hurting anyone, leave them to do their thing. We've all got to evolve. You know, we've all got to evolve, and we've all got to evolve on our own timing and in our own way. Yeah, so the Jupiter is 5 of Pentacles energy. So Jupiter is helping us all to get rid of the lack programming. To get rid of the lack programming. The matrix was run off of lack programming. For as long as you thought you were lacking, you were in need. And whatever you were in need of, you looked for outside of yourself. And lack programming creates ego stories, creates fear-based stories, which are ego stories, stories where we have to elevate ourselves above other beings, or denigrate ourselves and put ourselves lower, instead of just sitting on our own thrones and being secure in who we are, and leaving other beings to do what it is they have to do to be who they are, or to get back to that place. So Jupiter is helping us to disconnect from those ego stories that are rooted in fear and have produced cycles of lack. And again, lack has nothing to do with the material, with money. Some of the beings who have got the most issues with lack are those who are rich. And you know that because if they didn't, they wouldn't squander all of the resources of the earth and keep them from others. They wouldn't create these walls and barriers that they don't let other beings in. It's because they feel threatened by that. And anytime we feel threatened by another person, it's because we are somewhere in lack. Unless, obviously, if someone's coming for you, then you should be afraid. But you should feel the threat. But to just be threatened by beings for being who they are, that's the lack mentality. Okay? So Saturn in Pisces at 5 degrees. So Saturn is moving slowly through Pisces. We're at the 5-degree mark. 5 degrees of Pisces is the 8 of Cups. 8 of Cups. We're walking away. We're walking away from the old world. We're walking into a new earth. We're pushing our way. 8 of Cups is connected to the strength. We're pushing our way through the emotional stories that kept us going back. Still doing that. Because, the 8 of Cups is that hard decision where you know that you have to walk away in order to, you don't want to walk away from that which you have to leave behind because it's familiar. But you know that if you want to actually be happy and to rise, that you have to leave it behind. So Saturn is helping us specifically not walk away from people, walk away from the energies within that had us at war with self, that had us giving more to the fear and the ego stories than building the love story. We're building the love story. That's what this feels like. We're building the love story. Yes? And finally, and then I'm going to get going, the North Node in Aries is at 19 degrees. This is really, what's the word, kismet, right? The North Node is at 19 degrees. The South Node is at 19 degrees Libra, right? 19 degrees Aries, North Node, 19 degrees Libra, South Node. Now that 19 degree mark is a degree of Libra, okay? But it's a tarot energy of Leo. We've got this heavy Leo energy expressing itself through the moon, through the 5 degrees, and expressing itself through the tarot at the 19 degrees. Uranus is at 19 degrees Taurus also, helping us to also balance. It's in the 6 of Pentacles. Balance our Uranus. I wasn't going to go into this, but let me speak on it. Uranus is retrograding, so it's in the 2nd decan of Taurus, so it's at the 19 degree mark, so there's some kind of major alignment happening because that's a degree of Libra and the tarot energy of Leo. So there's something balancing to prepare us to connect deeper with our love story, our truest love story, which is the one where we reunite with self and all other love stories are born. Uranus is helping us to come into alignment with that, and it's helping us to begin to rebalance the scales. And when I say rebalance, that's the energy of the harmonious union within self. And the Uranus energy is always going to be the one that wants you to take a chance on your uniqueness, that wants you to take a chance on who you are as a love-based being and to make decisions based upon that. So there's an alchemizing of the fields that Uranus is helping us through also. And of course, how could I forget to mention the Pluto? Pluto entering 0 degrees over the weekend, probably because I've talked about it so much on my Substack that it's almost like, oh, it's a given, but it's not, because I have not talked about it here. But Pluto, of course, has entered into the 0 degree mark of Aquarius. It's time to build. We've already done the destruction. We're in Aquarius now. It's time to build. It's time to build the new love stories. It's time to build the love story within self, and whatever is blocking that within you, we're being assisted. Pluto helps to clear and build, right? But there's no longer the grand demolition process that was happening. Now it's the clearing out that has to occur for the building of the love story to come into place the way it needs to come into alignment. So the nodes, like I said, are both at 19 degrees, and they're both at this Libran energy. And Libra is very powerful in it begins to help us to integrate mind and heart. So the Libran energy, the reason why it's part of the reasons why it is that balancing energy is because it opens the 3rd quarter of the zodiac. And the 1st quarter of the zodiac is about establishing the mind of God for you, or who you are, right? The 2nd quarter of the zodiac is about the establishment of your emotional foundation, so you can express your God truth, the mind of God, which is your identity, because you are a God particle. So the 2nd quarter is all about the expression of the mind, right? But it's fine-tuning on the expression, because when you come into Libra energy helps you to balance mind and heart so they work in unity. So Libran energy on this ascension, as we recover who we are and come back into harmonious union, has been helping us to stop using our minds to overwrite our hearts. And so to have it 19 degrees, while we are at the start of, what the fuck? Sorry, I have a card avalanche that all of a sudden happened out of nowhere. To have it occur at the time where we are building a new love story is really incredible, because it shows that we are learning how to align ourselves again with one another and others. And we're learning to align ourselves with self in order that we're able now to express and to work with one another in harmonious ways that don't compromise our own sovereignty, based upon our ability to take our Leo energy, our heart energy, and not overwrite it with our Virgo energy, which is where we begin to do a lot of our mental processing of our emotions is through Virgo. So Libra teaches us how to balance that, how to live in accordance with our hearts, our Leo energy, which is the expression of Cancer, to live in accordance with that without, and allowing the Virgo energy to organize that so we can live in balance, but also, in balance, because you can't live in balance if you're just running off of pure emotional energy all the time. The Virgo energy has to come in to help us organize that mentally. But the tendency we had was to take the Leo energy and to suppress it and put our own light out, or have other people put their lights out. And oftentimes it was through the Virgo energy, not through people. I'm just talking about the Virgo energy, because the Virgo energy is just there to organize information, organize emotional information. It can organize the emotional information to put you into balance, or you can use it to take you so far out of balance that you become so intellectually astute that you close off your own heart. And so the Libra energy helps us to bring the two back into union, so that when our Leo energy is wanting to express itself, the Virgo energy shows us how to use our minds to do that and to not shut it down. And the thing is, a lot of the shutting down of our Leo energy or our hearts has come by way of our interaction with others. And this is why Libra rules the 7th house also, and Virgo helps us to prepare ourselves to go out into the world or go into Libra and to express our hearts and to be who we are brightly without compromising our truth. Because Virgo is the energy of the hermit that helps us to take the light of Leo, take our solar plexus energy, and to follow it faithfully. That's what the hermit helps us to do, right? But the Virgo energy also, what was I going to say? It liberates our soul. It liberates our light into other relationships. And then Libra shows us how to move through those partnerships without compromising our own value. And when we're not compromising our own value, we're not taking advantage of other people also. So all of this is helping us to come back into balance. And the nodes are assisting in this because the North Node in Aries is helping us to come back into our sovereignty outside of the group dynamic. And the Libran energy in the South Node is helping us to overcome those stories too. To learn how to be individuals who are, instead of completely independent or dependent or codependent, we are interdependent, meaning that we don't need anything outside of ourselves, so we can just enjoy one another. So, and Lilith in Virgo at 12 degrees is helping us too in that pursuit. Lilith is all about helping us reclaim our liberation from all of those places we've been suppressed and oppressed and depressed and repressed. So Lilith is also assisting us with that in Virgo, helping us get our minds right, but in alignment with the expression of the full expression of our Leo energy. Okay, so this is where I'm going to end, because this is a long one. I don't normally do videos this long on this channel. But, you know, I had a lot to say. There's a lot going on, so I hope I said it well. Thank you so much for being here. I wish you guys all a happy full moon in Leo, Cancer, however you want to, you know, title it. Doesn't really matter. It's still going to do the same fucking thing, so it doesn't really matter. No, I don't like this lighting anymore. Ooh, that's better. Maybe I'll get rid of this in the background also. Hold on. Maybe that's better. Okay, so I wish you guys the best. I have the full 2024 Ascension Tarot Astrology written report. It will be going up on my shop this weekend. It's just over 30 pages. And yeah, it's going to be there. It's all of the energies of 2024 as I've channeled them and broken them down through the cards. When I put it in my Ko-Fi shop, I will let you know on the community board. I'll give you the link and the information for that. So yes, if you would like to learn how to work with me, you can do so through my website, solara.info. If you would like to donate to my work, to my channels, to my craft, you can also do so at the link below. I will provide my Ko-Fi and my PayPal, and I thank you for all the ways you support me and you appreciate me in my value, so that I can show up here and do what it is that I came here to do at this time. So I'm sending you love. Until next time, be well.